Hello and welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. As always, I have the fabulous, the talented Matt the Pickled Dragon. Matt, what are you drinking?
This is Grange Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey.
Oh, let me see the bottle.
It's the
Nice.
whiskey without an E. Maybe for this one, I should be drinking rum, though. Yar.
We have an exciting day for you today. I am not drinking. I'm actually having some lovely oolong afternoon tea. It has notes of butterscotch and vanilla, but it's not sweet. It's just lovely oolong.
This
Um,
has notes of booze.
so I have some fabulous news before we get into our show today. Oh my goodness. It's been a long time coming. For a lot of our viewers out there, you know that I keep teasing that I have big news to share and I haven't shared anything yet. Well, it is official. I, Dracoya, am officially the sole distributor in the United States for Chimera paints. It is exciting. I am just absolutely thrilled. For those of you who don't know of Chimera paints, they come out of Italy. They are beautiful, single pigment, heavy, beautiful quality paints that a lot of the greats use. All of the really big guys on YouTube, they all use this paint. It is just fabulous. I have wet palettes. I have figures, I have paints, I have amazing Kolinsky brushes. Go to dracoya.com, Dracoya, DRACOYA.com, and use promo code PICKLED, and you can get an exclusive 10% discount. Yay!
Do it now.
Yes.
All
So,
right. Congratulations, Dracoya.
thank
This is
you.
monumentous.
I really should be drinking. We should have champagne to celebrate. Maybe on the next video.
I'll
Anyway,
drink for you.
thank you.
Ah, anyway, um, it's been a little while since we've talked about a source book that we believe is an absolute gem that can be used regardless of what edition, what game system. It doesn't matter. It is a great book. Everyone should have it. And this time, Yar, put your eye patch on and your tricorn hat and get ready to sail on the seas of fate, if you will, with Stormwrack. This was a third, well, 3.5 book. Um, and I love this book. Whether you are running like a nautical campaign or an underwater campaign, or you plan to take your characters underwater, or for a voyage that you want to give them the scare of their lives, uh, this book is indispensable. I love it.
I really like it. We'll have to share some pictures, but I like the amount of detail that's in it. I don't have a lot of books that help me if I want to run a pirate campaign. You know, there's a lot of debate, and I've seen it done a million which ways till Sunday on how to run a proper pirate campaign on the ocean. And there's a lot of really great ideas out there. But I think this one is a top-notch idea as far as the mechanics goes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of settings. You got Freeport, of course, and Freeport's been around, what, since third edition, or maybe even before that. And you've got the Scuttle Cove and a number of different pirate settings that are available out there. This isn't so much about setting as it is about um, giving the DM framework to manage perils and storms and ocean voyages and statistics for ships and underwater combat. And one of the things we're not going to talk about, there is new monsters, skills, classes, all that normal stuff you find in this book. And we're not really talk about that because it's all third edition. but you could certainly go in and get inspired if you're playing a different game, and adapt a lot of those things to your campaign. But what I'm really interested in is the perils of wind and rain and waves and whatnot, and also statistics for boats. Even if you need to adjust for your game system a bit, the beauty of this is it gives a starting point. Like if I had to sit down, I know nothing about boats or sailing or seas or anything else. If I had to sit down and like make up statistics for all those ships and all the different how fast is a galleon versus, this other type of ship, I wouldn't have the first clue. Well, here is a book that gives you all like a frame of reference so that even if you need to adjust, you can at least have a starting point, you know? So, yeah. So,
Let's
uh,
dive in.
yeah. So, if you look at the table of contents, Into the Maelstrom, we're only going to cover Into the Maelstrom and we're going to cover ships and equipment. Um, and again, the rest are things that you can, pick up your copy of the book and you know, take full advantage of it. Even at the end here, they include some locations, adventure locales, the Sable Drake, Shutter Hull Isle, and whatnot, great things you could just drop into your campaign. But what I love are all the charts and and the art's great, of course.
Yeah.
And just all the information that we can use uh to really bring even planar seas. Yeah, yeah, they go all out. But it really brings your campaign to life when you have specifics that it's pretty obvious you're just not making up on the fly. One of the things I did for my games is I went through and I extracted all the charts that I knew I was going to use onto a single cheat sheet. And yeah, so like here, water hazards. So how strong are rivers and streams if you tried to swim them? Now, obviously, the swim DCs are third edition, but you could easily adjust. Um, but it at least gives you a frame of reference and definitions for all of, what do they mean by a light current or a vigorous current, and they actually define it here for you.
Hmm.
So I love it. I love it. You
This
know,
is uh this is one of the ones that I really liked is all of the different bad possibilities, hypothermia, drowning.
mhm.
Listen, I mean, you're dealing with water, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's especially if you're, sailing in the cold Great White North there, the hypothermia is a big thing, especially if you get wet.
Right.
And, again, here we got rules for that. Very cold water is encountered when the air temperature is cold or colder, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And, you begin taking damage until you finally succumb. Um, Disease at sea, these could easily be renamed. If you want sea rot, you could just call it scurvy or whatever, because those were
Yeah.
pretty common
Sun
diseases that
touched.
people, on long voyages when they didn't have any fruits or vegetables, they're just eating salted pork the whole way. Um, you know, there are disease concerns, and I think in past videos I've talked about this and quite a bit, and that is the journey to wherever you're getting can be just as much fun, just as interesting, and just as perilous as the destination, the actual exploring of
Oh,
the dungeon.
I completely agree with you, Matt. The journey is 90% of the fun. I have this one campaign that I just started a couple weeks ago. I mean, we're 4 sessions in, and these freaks can't even get to the next point of the journey because they're having so much fun just having fun.
Yes, marine poisons, and this is one I never actually even thought about because there are some extremely poisonous creatures in the sea. So yeah, interesting. So if
See,
you're
and it
able
makes
to,
sense when you hear it, but if you don't have all these things together, you will easily forget. Like there's creatures in the sea that are poisonous. There are scurvy that you have to worry about.
yes. Oh, here's a great one. This is total Pirates of the Caribbean here. A maelstrom. So we got the maelstrom here and the size of the maelstrom and uh what it can do to your ship and so forth. So again, you got a frame of reference for what this means. What does this mean to my players as opposed to just trying to like what the heck do we do? Again, you might have to adjust your DCs to meet your current edition or game system, but
Hmm.
still, you got all the numbers there are easily translatable.
Hmm.
So yeah, great, great. Marine wilderness terrain, beach terrain, and here again, I mean, they give statistics for everything. A lot of this stuff may or may not be useful to you, but it's even ice flows. I forgot about that. What is that? Hitting the Titanic hitting your iceberg, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean this first chapter is pretty interesting. It gives you a lot of tools to really, really blow up I shouldn't say blow up, but bring your ocean voyage to life. And it could be a river voyage too, but
One
uh
of the things that they also had in here somewhere was walking on the boat during certain weather conditions. So you'd
mm,
have to roll because I mean, and it makes sense. Like if you're in the middle of a hurricane and out at sea and your boat's rocking back and forth violently, you should probably roll to see if you can even stand up, much less walk 5 feet. That makes
and
sense.
not get washed overboard.
Yeah.
Don't get washed overboard. That's a bad scene. So yeah, marine dungeon terrain. So you can think of the underside or the below decks of a ship as a dungeon if you wanted, or even, I mean, there is combat and water information here. This is one of the charts I use quite frequently, and not
I
just
like this one. This is my
yeah,
favorite.
not just like I don't just use it while ocean voyaging. I use it for overland too, because it's a very quick single roll. Is the party in a cold, temperate, or warm region? You
Mhm.
roll, I roll a 26. It's warm out, the wind is fair, and the precipitation is clear, so there's no rain. But it gives it like a single roll, um, result that gets you the information you need to you know, tell the players how the weather's going. And it's a very quick way of adding description. If it's raining, that means it's also muddy and it's nasty. It could be humid. If it's raining and it's hot, even after it stops raining, it's going to be humid and it's going to suck. Um, so when it says wind, again, these are kind of undefined words here, but they define them down here. Um, and I really love the fact that you can roll on this chart and get different results. So like even if you got a fair wind, you could roll 100 and you could end up with severe wind that day. So that's kind of cool. Um, and it also shows the effect on sailing ships. So it increases a good strong wind is going to increase their speed, but a severe wind or a windstorm is going to require a check to keep the ship under control and not flounder and maybe capsize. It's
Hmm.
pretty awesome. These are charts I actually have printed out just for easy access.
Which I think is
Um,
very smart. If you don't take anything else from this book, take the charts.
Yes, yeah, and like here, storm perils. What's going to happen to your ship? Your ship could roll over, become waterlogged, or you could sink. It could capsize, and you're doomed.
Yeah.
And of course, DCs to avoid that. Again, I'm gonna I'm going to stipulate that if you're playing a different edition, you're going to need to adjust things a bit, but those sailors are going to have to scramble, I say, and save the ship. So yeah, it's cool. Naval combat. Now that's one thing about D&D or any fantasy role-playing game you have to be careful about because, a single wizard, druid, or cleric can completely derail a good naval fight because of fireballs and flame strikes and everything. Make a meal out of most ships. So there are, you know, ways that sailors in a fantasy world can combat things like fireball to prevent their ships from burning up and going up. So there's special equipment for that. You know, sails that aren't flammable, for example, or and it might sacrifice a little bit of speed or whatever, but definitely check out this section on naval combat because one of the coolest parts about naval combat is encountering pirates. Yar! And I think there's a great picture in here.
There's
Uh,
a few great pictures in here.
yes. Well, we'll get to it. Maneuvering your ship and
Because that's always the biggest thing whenever I play a pirate campaign is how does the ship move?
mhm. I also like that they went through the book and they said, okay, for all of these spells, here is kind of the impact on a ship and how like gust of wind is a great example. That can propel your ship quite a bit,
Hmm.
But all of these spells, which may need to be translated to your game system, but all of these spells, here is your impact on using them during naval combat or just to get them your ship underway, or maybe halt the progress of an opposing ship.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of these great additions. This is definitely a chapter. All of this stuff is like near and dear to my heart. These essentially, it's like if you exclude all the things we didn't talk about, all the classes and skills and races and whatnot, the reference material is about 45 pages of just pure gold. Of course, at the end, like I said, even if you're not interested in the classes and stuff, there's those locales, which are great too. Uh, so yeah, let's ships and equipment. This is another section I dearly love, um, because there's a particular chart in here, right here. All these different kinds of boats and ships and everything. The complement shows what's like the maximum number of people that can be held on a barge, at a minimum, how many people does it take to actually crew it? And so on. So all of these things are detailed for you so that you can immediately give your players, well, you're only on a junk, so you can only carry up to 50 people. You're stuck, you have 60 people, 10 people got to stay behind, whatever. uh but yeah, all of this stuff is detailed, costs of them. Now the speed that is augmented by your wind. So like that takes us back to those charts where you roll your wind and you can increase the speed of your ship based on the wind factor. Otherwise, if there's no wind, you got the doldrums. It also talks about that as well.
Hmm.
Love
Yeah,
it.
I am not a ship person. My father is. He's one of those guys that builds a bunch of warships and bottles and has old kits at home, but I'm not. It's just not my forte. And this really helps a lot as far as picking out what ship would do what I also need it to do with how many people, and you can get a good idea for the size of the ship too.
Yeah. So, and again, all of these things are detailed. It talks about, you know, statistics for the ships,
Hmm.
including how many hull sections. Now, there's several different ways you could do the combat for a ship. This particular book says, all right, each ship is separated into X number of hull sections, and each hull section has its own hit point value. So as the fight is going on, if one side becomes damaged, you can maneuver your ship and so forth. Of course, that's a lot of work. So a lot of times, I've seen people, they'll just have like one set of hit point values for a ship, you know. Um, but this book actually gets down into the minutia. So like how many hit points does the rigging have? So if the rigging goes, then the sails come down. How many, and so on. So it's I'm absolutely in love with this, though. I keep saying that. Oh,
Yeah,
here's
you've been
some
talking about
sample
this
ships.
particular book for a very long time.
Yes, the Caravel. This is my favorite ship because it's fast. It is fairly compact, but you have several decks with which to do stuff with. I can remember an adventure where the party had a Caravel, but they were boarded by pirates, and we had this map laid out, all the different sections, and the party was having to retreat further and further down as they were trying to hold the decks from the pirates, and became pretty tense once they got down to the bottom there, and they were like, man, are we going to lose this? But they pulled it out in the end. So yeah, a great example of shipping. I think they have um, lots more example maps in here
Yeah, I
too.
like all the pictures there. The pictures are gorgeous, and they've got all these pretty, yeah, the boats. I just really like the boats. They're pretty. That one's nice. I like that one.
Yeah, an elf wing ship.
Yeah, see, that is so different and unique. And I do love that they have enough boats in here that are based off of real life boats, but then they also have some boats that they've just said, well, you know what? Let's just throw this in. And I love that.
Yes, me too. I mean, I really appreciate all of these details it brought because again, you can use what you want and throw away the rest, or you can go all in and say, you know what, guys, this whole section has 40 hit points and this whole section has 32, like
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it's got examples for all of these ships all the way through. And then you have kind of your arms and equipment guide at the end here of what we're going to be showing off, space for catapults and ballistas and fire spouts, whatever those are.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't have to use any of these. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, probably people are going to be using ballistas or catapults or whatever. Um, but you could tell your party, hey, we're not doing the firebomb thing, whatever.
That's
Um,
fine.
yeah, personal equipment. Here we go. So this is uh chitin shell medium armor, I guess shark skin armor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
Food made is a harpoon. I want the harpoon, Matt.
Yeah, I'll take it all. Harpoon,
Picture me in a harpoon.
skipping blade. I wonder what that is. It sounds cool, whatever it is.
I don't know.
And a cutlass, yar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got your sextants and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm. No,
Trichrome
that makes
hat.
sense. Yeah. So navigation is a whole nother thing that you don't think about when you're in the ship. And I know this from experience, but when you're in a ship and you've got miles and miles and miles and miles of endless blue, it is very easy to get turned around so fast. And you might have someone in the party that has pretty great survival stat, and so they're like, "Oh, okay, no problem. I'll just look at the stars." Well, that's not always that simple because if you don't know where exactly you're located on the globe in comparison to the stars above you, it's still a little bit confusing. I mean, you've got to be an expert. So having the proper tools and equipment for navigation is essential.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity to put your backgrounds to use. So all those people that's taken the sailor background or the pirate background or whatever, this is an opportunity where you actually can say, oh, you're proficient in water vehicles. How many times have you, as a DM, asked your party to make a water vehicles skill check? This is your opportunity. But and it could be any game system again, whatever game system you're playing, you know.
Hmm.
But I really love this book. I hope you guys check it out. Obviously, you could go to Drive Through RPG or you go to eBay and get a physical copy, as I did. Well, I didn't get mine from eBay. I got mine back in the day when third edition was a thing. But yeah, it's a great, great book. So what do you guys think? You guys like sailing the seas and finding buried treasure and battling krakens and all manner of sea beastie,
Sea beastie? Man,
sea
that sounds so
beastie.
intimidating. What do
They
you think?
are
Do you want to see me with a harpoon? Just
yar. That means
kidding.
yes in
Just-
pirate. Of course, Yar
All
is kind of like to pirates what Smurf is to the Smurfs. So like that's Smurfy, Yar. So it can mean a lot of things.
right, guys, comment, like, subscribe. Tell us what you think down below. Remember to go to dracoya.com and use promo code PICKLED. And as always, come back and have another round on us.